Hello and welcome to Time Tunnel TV. I'm your host Steve Lahan, and coming up on today's show we get to talk to the incredible Christopher Eccleston about his role in his new film Thor: The Dark World. But before that we have live music from the Young Pensioners. So they're here now, so let's have a listen to a song. I think it's called Jumper.
I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the life that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I would understand. I would understand. The angry boy, a bit too insane, icing over a secret pain. You know you don't belong. You're the first to fight, you're way too loud. You're the
Well, that was the Young Pensioners with Jumper. Thank you for that, lads. That was excellent. Now, moving on, we managed to get a short interview with Christopher Eccleston while he was actually in the middle of the production on Thor 2. Now, let's take a look at that before we actually welcome him live to the show.
Well, Alan was key in that because we, playing a villain, bad guy, whatever you want to call it, in a project like this can be risky because often these films feel that they require one-dimensional, unmotivated evil, and that was my concern right off the bat. Even in the audition, talking to Alan, it's how do we make him more interesting than just a cackling fiend? And it was Alan's sensibility and the way we spoke together about the project that made me feel we could perhaps give Malekith some complexity, because that's what the audience demand, really. They have that of the heroes, and I think the villains need that. I did see the first film and I enjoyed it very much, particularly the performances, particularly Chris Hemsworth, because, it's a big ask that to be this extraordinary comic book physical specimen, which Chris can do. But what I loved about his performance, and a lot of the performances, but particularly Chris, was the humour and the twinkle and the charm and the sense that he was taking it seriously, but not that seriously. And that's been the proof of working with him on this. Really, I admire that. That is where the pressure is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing Thor, this comic. He's not just a comic book hero. He's a Norse hero, and he's got the long flowing locks and he's muscular. That really takes some guts, really, and some deftness of touch, and he has that. He's the leader, really. He's set the benchmark for us all, I think. Malekith is a dark elf, and he's the leader of the dark elf. He has almost a godlike status among the elves, and it's difficult to talk about what his intents are without giving away huge tracks of the film. And he is a slippery character to his own men, never mind to those that he opposes. He's probably slippery to himself. And my costume's very elaborate as well and high maintenance, so when I'm not on camera doing a take, I've got at least 4 people in my face or around my body the whole time, so that takes a kind of discipline. But hopefully it's worth it. It's a very elaborate costume, made with great care, and the makeup as well. It's pretty extraordinary, we hope. I wear lenses, I have prosthetics on my face, I have a different shaped head, I wear a wig, I wear a cage on top of the wig, I have body armour, I have a cloak. Yeah, it's elaborate and transforming, but hopefully you'll still realise, the idea with prosthetics is that you still get a sense of a living creature, a living entity, and I think we've achieved that.
Now, let's welcome the man himself, Christopher Eccleston, everyone.
Afternoon. Afternoon there. Hello there, Steve. All right.
It's good to have you on the show,
Yeah,
Christopher.
thanks for having us again, yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah,
we're
smashing.
all aware, and everybody at home, I'm sure, is aware that you've just come from the premiere of the new film, Thor,
yeah,
The Dark World.
of course.
I've got to ask you, what was it like?
Leicester Square, what is it ever like? It's always the same.
Wet.
The high pressure.
It's
Yeah,
usually
it's
wet.
always raining as well, people. If you ever go to a film premiere, especially at this time of the year,
This time
it's
of year.
always raining, and there's always somebody crouching behind you with an umbrella, and you're off on a different tangent because there's people shouting you, Chris, and you're going over, and there's this poor sod with an umbrella following you everywhere.
That's right,
I think
yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, as you know, Thor in the film, he got
Yep.
the wettest of all. I don't think he cared, even though he's got this lovely, luscious blonde hair. He wasn't bothered.
No,
As
no.
you can see, I've got a bit of a
Well, he's
the hair
Thor
going
after
in.
all, shouldn't
Yeah,
he? He shouldn't be
Thor,
bothered
so
about the weather,
at
should
the end
he?
of the day, yeah. But as premieres go, yeah.
I see
smashing
that you're a very,
premiere again.
you know, you come over sometimes quite a hard person, but you're quite sociable really with the crowd, weren't you? You actually went over and spoke to them.
At the end of the day, I never forget my roots. Growing up in Northern Theatres in the 1980s, Thatcher's Britain, things were tough, things were tight.
Yep.
And of course, you know, to be an actor in the 1980s was very, very difficult.
Indeed.
You know, financially everything was bad, but it was something I wanted to follow from school, going to school in Bury, and I decided I wanted to go into that, and that's exactly what I did. And I've been lucky. I remember an interview with Roger Moore once. He said 99% of it was all luck, 1% talent, and sometimes you actually go with that because it's actually so true that you've got to be in the right place at the right time. And I was when Alan was throwing out these scripts for Thor, and I happened to be in the vicinity. I got the script dropped through the door, the proverbial door, read it on the toilet, liked it, and so on and so forth, and that's where it went from there.
Well, yeah, and it's certainly been a great success.
Yeah.
Now, I've got to ask you about the character you play in that, Malekith.
Malekith,
Malekith, he's like the leader of the evil Dark Lords, isn't he? And
well, basically, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, he's like a godlike character, as I was saying in the previous interview there, and it's the Asgardians. They're the main gods. They're the main people, and I'm this little god thing, and I believe in my own hype, if you like. Yeah. And basically, I carried a lot of the elves. I was the bad elf. I was the main elf. Sounds a bit Christmassy, but it's not, and very, very dark indeed.
Oh, it's a lot darker than Christmas.
When you imagine like Lord of the Rings, that's just been in the last 20 years, and your Harry Potters, and your Hobbit and all that. Yeah. We're sort of following on the same sort of line as that.
Well, let me ask you about that. The Dark Elves, they're the whole race in themselves, aren't they?
Correct, yeah.
You know, where did that come from? Where they all have their own language and everything.
Well, it is. It's, again, going back to the Asgardians, it's their own sort of life, their own lifestyle, their own... They're just a different race to everybody else, and they see things and do things differently to everybody else. Thor obviously takes against this, and Malekith, of course, who I play, we're heavily involved, me and Chris, in a lot of dialogue and a lot of on-screen antics.
So I suppose it's to make it equally as believable as the Asgardians, isn't it? The Dark Elves.
Well, of course,
They're an ancient race.
Well, they're an ancient race, and they don't want to be forgotten. They don't want to be stamped into the ground. They don't want to be ground into dust, and they want to make themselves heard. And elves, they always say small people want to make the biggest noises, and hence elves do that as well. And that's what we did. And
because at the end of the day, it's a comic book story, isn't it? But
yeah,
they're trying to make it. It seems to me that film's trying to make it like a real believable thing. Much in the way like Lord of the Rings is a massive backstory.
Well, it was. Peter Jackson did great with that. Alan's done that with this, with Thor 2. Again, I've got to say about Chris Hemsworth again. Wonderful role as Thor. He's got so much to do there, and he really, you know, sort of lived the character. He grew into the character, as I did with my character, Malekith. And when you've been a character actor, you've really, really got to believe, while you're filming that, even at home with the wife, I'm a dark elf in the bedroom making fried bread.
Are you really? You're a dark elf in the bedroom? Well, no, you won't go there.
If you know what I'm saying, without any sort of innuendos being thrown.
No. But
you've got to live that character, and you can understand that. That's why I never wanted to be typecast in a soap opera role as such.
Can I ask you, because we're a little bit short on time, sadly, I'd like to speak to you all night, but getting into the character, you had to get up at 3 in the morning, I believe.
Well, you had to. I mean, you've got to understand, in this day and age, even though we've got all this wonderful CGI stuff, you've still got to be made to look believable. Indeed. So the amount of makeup, the amount of prosthetics that were placed upon me, my head was completely reshaped. Yes. The whole structure of my body, I felt like I had another body on top of it. Did it restrict your acting, though? Did it cause a problem? It does at first, but what happens is you're growing into the character as you sat in that chair with all the wonderful ladies, all the wonderful makeup team that you've got around you. You live in that character, you're going over your lines, you think, and you're coming up with these strange, weird and wonderful voices, and that's what you've got to do. As a character actor, you have got to live the character, even when the roles...
So in that respect, you're a method actor?
Yeah, to an extent, yeah, I can be a method actor. What are you saying? I'm just a one-dimensional person?
Not really, no, but I'm not trying to upset you, Chris, but
No, I'm playing with you there. No, but I've had an awful lot of experience.
Very good, yeah.
As you know.
I appreciate it, yeah. Obviously, you submerge yourself in the role, don't
And you've got to, yeah.
Okay.
Most definitely.
So I think we're going to move on, are we, shortly now? I think we've got to, because we've got the next item coming up, I think.
Okay, yeah, well...
Okay, we'll be back with you in a moment, Chris,
yeah.
All right, now. Thanks for that, Chris. We'll be back later in the show to talk to you more about it. But before we do, we're going to look at, I believe it's the news now.
Hello and welcome to Time Tunnel News. Syrian rebel leader denies fleeing. Salim Idris, the Chief of Staff of Free Syrian Army, denied reports that he had fled from his post in Syria. He told CNN on Thursday that he had left the country, but to work from his office in the Turkish borders. Twitter reverts earlier change, allows users to see when others had blocked them. We believe this is not ideal, as Twitter users should not be made aware when they have been blocked. Moving forward, we will continue to explore features designed to protect users from abuse and prevent retaliation. Thor 2 had its London premiere today, and we have Ed Hughes on location to tell us more.
I'm standing on the red carpet at the first screening of Thor 2: The Dark World. This sequel from Marvel, based on the Norse god Thor, stars Christopher Eccleston as the character Malekith, the dark elf hell-bent on returning the universe to darkness. The second movie in the series is set to make an estimated $7 million on Thursday night's release, more than double the midnight gross of its predecessor. Eccleston is one of Britain's best and loved actors, famous for numerous roles in TV and film. He helped relaunch Doctor Who as the 9th incarnation of the character and was voted most popular actor at the 2005 National Television Awards for his portrayal of the Doctor. He later left the role after one series due to the fear that he would become typecast. This new role as a Hollywood supervillain is not Eccleston's first taste of the dark side, having previously played alongside Nicolas Cage as the villain in Gone in 60 Seconds. It is clearly a role that Eccleston excels at, and who knows how many more roles this latest blockbuster may lead to. This is Ed Hughes reporting from the Hollywood red carpet. Back to the studio.
Gas explosions at China coal mine traps 22 workers. A government news office in Shanghai said the blast at a coal mine occurred at 1:26 a.m. local time on Friday, when 34 miners are working. The news office says on its official microblog that 12 miners were able to scramble to safety, but the other 22 remaining trapped. China News Service says rescuers were searching for the trapped miners, and it was unclear whether they were injured or fatalities among them. That's all from us. Back to the studio.
And welcome back to the show. We're talking to Christopher Eccleston today, which is my absolute pleasure. So, Chris, we've spoken a little bit about your current film, Thor:
Correct,
The Dark
Thor, yeah,
World.
smashing,
But what,
wonderful.
you know, having you on the show, what I've really wanted to talk to you about as well is about your career generally. So,
Well,
you know, where did it begin for you?
Well,
where did your TV
I started
begin?
in bit parts of things, but the real big break, let me tell you now, was an amazing writer. You might have heard of him, called Jimmy McGovern.
Oh,
An
God, yeah,
absolute
of
wonderful,
course,
in the same sort of stable as Alan Bleasdale,
Yeah.
Boys from the Black Stuff from the 80s,
Yeah.
and then Jimmy McGovern. And then you've got out the same, Phil Redmonds, and Jim McGovern wrote bits for Brookside as well. And then he had this wonderful idea about this psychologist called Cracker, a big fat Scottish
Robbie
guy.
Coltrane.
Robbie Coltrane.
Yeah,
and I became...
all shot in Manchester,
Of course, all shot in Manchester, my hometown. Wonderful, couldn't I expect anything else? And I became one of the main DSs in that. And I played a DS in Cracker alongside Ricky Tomlinson, another great Northern actor.
remember watching it.
Of course,
I remember
family
watching
of late. And of course, Robbie Coltrane and various and Leith McLaughlin and various other people. Wonderful, wonderful family they were. And I got killed off after about the third year by, of all people, Robert Carlyle.
Oh, indeed.
Now, Robert Carlyle, you remember him from
yes.
Train Spotting and 28 Days Later.
Plays a wonderful madman, doesn't he? Wonderful crazy man.
He's a wonderful, wonderful method actor, and I learnt an awful lot from him. But Jimmy McGovern was the guy that gave me my great big break, in a word.
Indeed,
and it was comforting because I was filming in and around the streets of Manchester. It's where I grew up as a kid.
Yeah.
It's where I used to go shopping with my mates. It's where I used to go drinking when I was 18.
You were born in Salford, weren't you?
That's correct, Salford. I went to school in Bury for a wee while, but yeah, Salford was where I was
Salford
born.
as it was probably before it, the new
Well,
day.
Lowry,
the old
the
Salford,
old worldy stuff and
it's
everything,
hard,
you know.
hard life, really. Wasn't
Very, very hard indeed.
Yeah,
But I always wanted to be an actor, and that was my break. And again, the 99% of the luck was there. Jim McGovern, you know, he spotted me in a play I was doing at the Royal Exchange.
Yeah.
He saw me there, and he approached me and said, would I like to star in this 4-part series called Cracker? I'm thinking, oh, sounds a bit odd, but yeah. And we moved on. Funnily enough, Jim McGovern, I stopped working with him in the mid-90s. Then we teamed up again 3 years ago for... there were 6 dramatisations called The Accused on BBC One.
Yes, indeed.
And
yes,
it was all about people who were being accused of a murder.
Yeah.
They were stood in the dock at the beginning.
So it's gone full circle,
Full
for you,
circle
hasn't
with,
it?
with him.
I just want to move on a little bit because you made quite a distinctive. You did Poirot, didn't you, for a little while?
I did Poirot for a bit.
Yeah,
that
it's a
was
bit of a
amazing.
change there, period.
Well, I mean, I am
isn't
no
it?
David Suchet, but I mean, David Suchet's Poirot as much as Del Boy's, you know, David Jason's Delbar, that they are typecast. That's one thing I wanted to get away from, being typecast. And bringing you...
If you don't mind me saying, that seems to have been a theme for most of your career, because you try different things. I mean, Doctor Who's like one of them, isn't it?
Jumping back on that, I grew up with it. I mean, my main Doctor was John Pertwee and Tom Baker. Tom Baker, of course, Long Scarf. And after Tom Baker went, it just sort of died a little bit. There were several Doctors in between that, including Sylvester McCoy. Yeah. And that stopped in 1990. Doctor Who
disrespect
disappeared down the plug hole.
The franchise was getting very weak, wasn't it?
And an American company decided to bring it back, 2003. Paul McGann, you know the big McGann, the Scouse acting family? The family. Paul McGann was thrown into that role.
With Nail and I, isn't it?
And and with Nail and I. And he brought the role back to life. He sort of breathed life into a rasher of bacon, you know, bringing the pig back to life. It was amazing.
To me, it looked like an American
production, it was American-based.
In fact, he got criticised for that.
Well, the Americans actually saw this thing. They saw, well, where can we go? They saw these old bits of Doctor Who, you know, the wobbly sets and everything that they got. And then Russell T Davies, he approached me and he said, you grew up with Doctor Who, didn't you? I said, oh, of course I did. You know, John Pertwee, excellent, the Brigadier, the Master of the Daleks, you know. And he says, we're thinking of reinventing it in 2007.
Now, how did you react to that? Because for a lot of people, you were an unusual choice.
Well, you know, everyone has these eccentric sort of really weird hairstyles.
Indeed, yeah.
And I came back with jeans, a jumper, and a long black leather coat. And they put me in there, and I thought, wow, I'm living the dream here. I'm playing Doctor Who.
But you also brought with it that sense of humour that all the Doctors had brought in their own way.
Well,
but you had
what
a very
I tried to do,
what
I tried to do with it was James Bond's always got a sort of quirky, humorous way about him.
Indeed, yeah.
Roger Moore, especially with his eyebrows and you know, and Sean Connery was different. And I wanted to put my own spin on Doctor Who. I didn't want to be Tom Baker. I didn't want to be Tom Pertwee. I didn't want to be Patrick Troughton. I wanted to be me as Doctor Who. And after 2 series, we shot that in Cardiff, incidentally, with the wonderful Billy.
Billy Piper. Yeah.
Billy Piper, brilliant. What a lovely actress she is. Yeah. And we worked together. She was Rose. But I realised after 2 series, I don't want to become like a soap opera star. I don't want to be a Ken Barlow. I don't want to be Doctor Who for 20 years.
So you decided.
So I decided that was it. And
David
David
it was a big shock for a lot of people.
Well, David Tennant was suggested to me, would you like him to take over as a regeneration? I thought. Yeah,
good on
similar character, Scottish, very similar sort of quirkiness.
Fantastic. I just want to move on because there's one character I have to ask you about. Yeah. One of my favourite films is Gone in 60 Seconds. Now, you played a wonderful Calitri in that, don't you?
Correct,
And that is the epitome of a real bad guy. I love that. What did you think of playing with Nicolas Cage?
Well, Nicolas Cage and that, I mean, you've got to say, a well-established Hollywood actor. Yeah. And to be in a big Hollywood blockbuster like that with such a big name and a franchise as Gone in 60 Seconds, as it was, you can't fault it. It was absolutely unbelievable. It was great to star there, living the high life in LA.
Because you're not in it a lot, are
you?
No,
but you didn't need to be.
Such a presence.
You didn't need to be. You felt it, and just that small role, even that little tiny Lego brick in the big vast wall of it all was great.
You must have loved being derided in American culture the way you did. You know?
It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. But I don't want to forget all my other films. And of course, with being a northern lad, Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
I mean, Shallow Grave, working alongside Keith Allen, and of course the wonderful Ewan McGregor, and then we worked alongside other things as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed Shallow Grave. That was my first major film that really broke the bank there when Danny Boyle really cut his teeth there, and it was unbelievable. It was amazing, and of course working again with various actors on the zombie apocalyptic. 28 Days Later, which was great as well.
I'd love to talk to you all day because I could spend all night with you, but we're going to move on now.
Thanks for your time, no problem. Cheers.
Anyway, thanks for that, Chris. Now we have to take, again, a short break, but we will be returning with more live music from, again, the Young Pensioners. unfortunately, that's all we have time for. But I would like to thank our very special guest today, the wonderful Christopher Eccleston. Thank you, everyone. That was wonderful. And I have to tell you, we'll be back again same time tomorrow. Till then, I'll leave you once again with the wonderful, very, very young pensioners with, I think, the wonderful song, I believe, of just the two of us. Oh, is it Counting Stars? Well, you see, they're
lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars. Like a swinging vine, swing my heart across the line. In my face is flashing signs. Seek it out and ye shall find. Old, but I'm not that old. Young, but I'm not that bold. And I don't think I'm not that. Been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Feel it burn down this river every turn. Hope is our four-letter word. Make that money, watch it burn. Old, but I'm not that old. Young, but I'm not that bold. And I don't think the world is sold. I'm just doing what we're told. And I feel something so wrong. We're doing the right thing. I could lie, couldn't lie, couldn't lie. Everything that drowns me makes me wanna fly. Lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. Baby, I've been praying hard. Say no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Lately, I've been losing sleep, dreaming about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been praying hard. Say no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Oh, take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Take that money, watch it burn, sink in the river, the lessons I learned. Everything that kills me makes me feel alive. I've been losing sleep, dreaming